everyone. I haven't done makeup content in a while, so I thought I'd just do a fun little randomly doing makeup kind of video. Also, I have a headache, and I'm waiting for the painkiller to kick in, and I want to go to sleep, but I can't because I have a headache, so we're doing this instead. Today, I'm going to be doing a fun little eyeshadow look that I'm going to match the colors to this t-shirt I'm wearing. It's a bunch of skeleton cowboys, and it says, oh my gosh, I forgot what the shirt says. Shirt, what do you say? What? It's in cursive. Let's get rowdy. That's what it says. It's a bunch of skeleton cowboys, and it says, let's get rowdy. So I'm going to kind of match the makeup to the color scheme of the shirt. And I'm going to use this Cosmic Brushes palette. I'm going to use this color. I'm going to use this as a shimmer. Basically, I am using a very, very pale sort of gray-green. Very, very pale. And then I'm going in with a more muted teal color, and then I'm going to be doing a pink base with gold shift shimmer. And then I'm probably going to pop just like a little white pink shift highlight in the inner corner, so probably this one. It looks white on camera, but actually it shows up as a pink. So that's what I'm going to be doing for my eyes. I've already primed my face and I've primed my eyes. And I'm also going to be trying a thing. As you guys know, I'm very pale. I'm ghoulishly pale. So my concealer, I usually don't even use concealer, really, unless it's like I mix it with a orange lipstick to make a color corrector. But a lot of people use concealer to like brighten and have a, lighter shade to brighten under their eyes. But that's difficult for me because when I buy the lightest shade in most of the concealers that I'm willing to buy, because I have a lot of specifications for brands I'm willing to buy from and stuff, it's usually just my skin tone or just my shade, but the wrong undertone, so it doesn't give a brightening effect. So I'm literally just going to, I think I'm probably going to use this, which is the same eye base that I primed with today. It's the Glamlight Eye Sing eyeshadow base. I think they're discontinuing this. I don't know. I asked them if they were, and they never got back to me. But I'm probably just going to use this white eyeshadow base under my eyes as concealer. And if that doesn't work out, I do have the LA Girl Foundation Mixing Pigment in white, which is basically just a white foundation, but it's a matte full coverage kind of thing, and my About Face foundation is more of a natural to, I would say like natural to glowy, but natural finish, light to medium coverage, so they wouldn't totally gel with each other. So we're just gonna get into the eye makeup now. So this shade is called Softly. It is, I don't really know how to describe it other than a nice gray with a tinge of green to it. Sort of almost mold-like, but in a good way, if that makes sense. So I'm taking this blending brush. Let me see if I can... My lighting setup has not improved over the years. In fact, it's gotten worse. So I'm taking this blending brush, and this one in particular has a sort of pinched effect to it. So the part that the bristles come out of is not round, it's oval, it's oblong. So it has an almost pinched effect to it. And I like blending brushes like this because it gives me a little more precision, because as you can see, I don't have the most like lid space or space between my brows and my eye. So I kind of have to work with smaller surface area than, I'm not going to say is ideal, because I don't think that it's not ideal, but a lot of people prefer more space so that they can do more things, because obviously I have to compact a little bit more, and these kind of brushes are great for compacting a little bit more. I'm not going to make too sharp of a winged shape with my eye makeup here. I'm just going to kind of give a soft pulling the eyeshadow at an upward angle away from the outer corner of my eye, because my eyes are kind of naturally downturned and sleepy looking, so I just like to give them lift whenever I can. And I'm mainly blending by doing tiny, tight, contained circular motions in specific areas, and then sweeping sort of across the whole thing just to make sure with that less tight sweeping motion that the blending is sort of consistent across the board. I'm doing my eyes first. I'm going to do my base after. That's my preference, just because if, you know, a little eyeshadow falls down, trickles down my face or whatever, trickle down face-onomics, I can just cover it up with foundation. It's not going to ruin my base. I'm probably going to do mascara first for the same reason. Sometimes doing mascara first can be a little bit inadvisable because you can get foundation like on your lower lashes and then, you know, kind of cancels out the mascara, but the mascara I own is rather wet. So I'm gonna put it on first because it's always messing up my base. As you guys may have noticed, I've pivoted to primarily psych commentary / watch-along videos, mainly because they're quite easy to be able to make, and so I can batch film them easily and have them pre-prepared so that there's some kind of consistency to my upload schedule, which I've been really enjoying that aspect of it, being able to have consistency. And it's difficult to film other stuff because, you know, I do have a real job, and then also just I'm tired all the time, 24/7. I'm never not tired. So it's difficult to find energy to do stuff more than sitting down, watching an episode of a TV show I love and talking about it. I don't think I've watched... So for like 3 months straight this year, I watched nothing but Psych at all. And I finally broken out of that a little bit. But now I'm on Always Sunny. So, like, Always Sunny in Philadelphia. So I didn't break out of the comedy genre, and I didn't break out of watching people commit crimes either. The main characters, I mean, commit crimes. The difference is we're supposed to like Sean while he's committing crimes, and we are not supposed to like the Always Sunny people. I like Charlie anyway, though. Dennis is my least favorite. I have to grab this real quick. Okay. I think that's kind of the way you're supposed to view it, though. They give Dennis the least amount of, not redemptive stuff necessarily, because I don't think any of the Sunny characters have, like, redemptive arcs or anything ever, but they give him the least amount of episodes where you can feel some form of sympathy for him. That's it. What in the world? They're watching some kind of drama movie out there, and it was making me really sad, so I came in here to do this instead. So I've got my base down, and now I'm just going to go in and add a little bit of depth. Not too much, because this is kind of a fun floral sort of vibe as well. But I'm going to add a little bit of depth with that muted teal sort of shade. It looks less muted on camera than it is in real life. In real life, it's not this saturated. It is a lot more, like if you put a filter over a photo that just kind of makes all the colors duller, but doesn't make them unpleasant. I didn't want to use the word muted again. I'd used it too many times already. So I'm just going to pack this slightly darker color onto my outer corner at first. The outer corner of my eye, because I'm going to be concentrating it mainly in this area. And generally it's advised to use a packing brush for this, but I'm lazy, so I'm using my small blending brush. And now I'm just going to go in with circular motions, and I'm going to start blending that color through my crease on my eye that does not have a fold in it. Picked up a little bit more just because I felt like I wasn't getting the amount that I wanted on the way to the inner corner. So there we go there. And then I need a little bit more, tap it off. And then I'm going to kind of blend to follow that slight upward angle wing situation that we did with the rest of the eyeshadow. There we go. Sounds like they might be watching Always Sunny now. No, maybe they didn't. Maybe they didn't switch it. I just hear arguing, so I'm like, Always Sunny? Yeah, I got a little distracted from Psych because not only did I get sucked in Always Sunny while my brother and my dad were watching it, but also I've been playing a lot of Fallout again because the trailer for the Fallout TV show dropped, and so obviously it made me want to go back and play the games again. And I decided to give the original Fallout a try. Or a second chance. I tried it once and I couldn't figure out the control scheme whatsoever, and I gave up on it. But I decided I wanted to try it again. And I ended up finding a website that was literally just dedicated to guides on how to play Fallout 1. Or it's just called Fallout. Like the very original one made by Interplay that only works on computers. Like top-down sort of point-and-click deal rather than 3D first-person shooter, which are made by Bethesda. And those guides were so helpful. It made it so much easier to be able to actually, like, play the game instead of just fumble around not knowing what's happening for ages, which was stressful because it is a game with a time limit element in the early stages. And so I've been playing that a bit more, and I'm much happier with this experience this time around. I do kind of want a remake of it, in the 3D style, because that is my preferred style of game, 3D first person. But I don't know if I actually want that, because I don't know if Bethesda could, achieve the same feel, and I don't know if I trust Bethesda for the way they'd handle it after, Fallout 4 and all that. And Starfield. So, I didn't talk about it while I was doing it, sorry, but on this eye where I do have the fold, as you can see, I'm taking that darker color above where my crease is, just slightly. So I have the fold there, so I'm making sure the darker color is visible above that. It's going to bring it close to my brow bone, and it means that the eyes aren't, symmetrical. But that's why I usually do, one eyeshadow look here, one eyeshadow look here. My eyes aren't symmetrical, and nothing's ever going to change that. So it's just got to embrace it. Same deal with, my lips. My top lip is not, symmetrical on both sides of the bow. Just the way it is. And when I try to, correct that with lip liner or whatever, it looks weird. Alright. Happy with that. I'm just gonna... You don't want to overblend your eyeshadow, but a little bit of touch-up. Don't be afraid to touch it up, because you're haunted by the idea of overblending, because I think that looks much better. There we go. And that is just that simple with the mattes. I'm now just going to take my finger. I prefer to use my finger to put on shimmers generally, and I'm going to go in with, well, actually, let me think for a second. I might want to be more precise with this shimmer. And I think the formula would allow for that, because some shimmers just don't pick up well on brushes. But I think... Oh, they're watching a tornado movie. That's right. That's why you guys can hear that. Yeah. Our roll of paper towels that I just wipe my brushes on when I need to quickly clean them. And then I've got a stack of brushes over there that I need to actually clean. Okay, so I've picked up the shimmer, and on this little flat brush, as you can see, it's flatter and denser. Fluffy brushes are for blending, and then denser brushes are for packing. Generally, people use flat, dense brushes like this for shimmers if they're not using like their fingers. And if you have something that's more of a glitter than like a shimmer, like a chunky glitter, then there are little plastic tools you can use to pick that up. Oh, I was entirely wrong. I want bam, so I'm gonna go in with my ring finger. The reason that you'll probably generally see people who do makeup use their ring finger to apply things like shimmer, or like if they tap out concealer under their eyes, they'll probably use their ring finger. Or if you see skincare people put on an eye cream and they use their ring finger, that is generally because your ring finger is the one where you're least likely to apply a large amount of pressure. People say like, oh, it naturally applies less pressure, and it's more like your ring finger is used to not needing to be super involved in the equation. So it'll be easier to make sure that it's very, very gentle, because it's your eye. You don't want to your eye. There. It's a nice little pink base, and it has that very nice gold shift to it. I really like this eyeshadow. I like any eyeshadow that has this like pink base gold shift to it thing going on. Ah, this is difficult. Come on, come on. You can do it. It's also almost turning the base like slightly purple in the places where it's overlapping the matte eyeshadow, which is so pretty. I love like purple and turquoise and purple and teal. It's one of my favorite color combinations. I actually did this look once already, but only on one eye, not on both. While not wearing this shirt, I realized after I did the look, hey, I have a shirt that has that exact same color scheme. Alright, there we go. That's that, and then I'll do like under eye stuff. So like a little bit of eyeshadow under the eyes and all that, after I do the base. For now, I'm gonna... Actually, I'm not gonna go with black mascara. For now, I'm gonna pop on some brown mascara. The difference is very subtle and very small, and honestly, most people probably can't tell the difference. But this is sort of the deal where, like, I'm the one making it, so I'm gonna see flaws and intricacies that nobody else will ever see. So, I'm just gonna... I don't curl my lashes before I apply mascara because my lashes don't fit in most lash curlers because of that natural downturn to my eye that I mentioned before. So these guys, who are the most important for me to curl, get left out. These guys are sticking straight up, and it just looks weird when I curl my lashes. The reason that I'm doing just the outer lashes and I'm not going into the inside with it is, again, because of the natural downturned nature of my eyes. When I highlight mainly these lashes here on the outside, it's going to give them a more lifted look. And it's going to make my eyes look a little more awake. Now, I'm not happy with how clumpy that is. So I'm gonna take an eyebrow brush that has one of these little spoolie guys on the end, and I'm going to run it through as well and make it a little less clumpy. Just doing that. It's gonna help separate my lashes a little more. Remove any weird like chunks of, you know, dried bits of mascara or whatever. Just gonna go at that one specifically with my fingers. And I'm gonna try to reposition some of them as well, like break up some of those clumps so that it looks a little fuller and more evenly spread. And there we go. There's the mascara. And you can barely tell in this lighting. Cool. Fun. I'm just gonna wipe that mascara off on my paper towels over here. And I'm gonna use a different cleaner spoolie. As you can see, I got some mascara here and down here. I'm gonna let it dry out, and then I'm gonna take a different clean spoolie and I'm just gonna scrape at it. It's not comfortable, but it does a much better job than just trying to wipe it off, because trying to just wipe it off usually ends up in smearing. Okay. My lashes on this eye are a lot more cooperative, frankly. They tend not to clump quite as much. I do always end up going farther onto the inner corner on this eye, so I'm just a little bit. Nope, I almost started singing something. Can't sing stuff on YouTube. I'll get got. Okay. I'm just rolling it to get rid of any kind of clumpiness. Or in some cases, clump lashes a little closer together, just depending on what I feel like it needs. Basically just getting a little more control and precision over my eyelashes in general. Okay, there we go. Mascara. The shape of my eyes also means that I don't tend to do false eyelashes. I need to find like half lashes or cheap ones that I'm okay with cutting. I'm not okay with cutting any of the pairs I own because I got them all in bundles and they're expensive. And I'm afraid that if I cut them, I'm going to cut them wrong, and then it'd be really difficult to replace them because some of them are from collections that don't exist anymore, because all my favorite makeup brands are either not viable to buy for protest reasons and social justice reasons, or they are simply discontinuing their products en masse because they're switching business models to a model that I personally really despise, which is the mainly collaborations model. Now, don't get me wrong, I've dreamt up some makeup collaborations that I'd love to see, alright? I've talked about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles makeup collaborations I'd want. I've thought about what I would do for Fallout-themed makeup collections. I've thought up makeup collections I would make based on my cats. You see her? She's amazing. That's Coleslaw. She's the best baby in the world. But, I don't know. It's just a lot of collaborations and no original ones anymore. And at first it annoyed me because I was like, collabs, they could go away at any time because they're controlled by someone else's IP. But now brands are getting rid of their non-collab stuff in order to stock collab stuff, so nothing is safe. Great. Okay. That's most of the eyes done. I guess I'll put on the eyeliner now as well. and then I'll go in with the base stuff. I already primed my face. I just used a hydrating primer and then a mattifying primer where I get oily, which is like my nose, this part, the parts of my cheeks closest to my nose, and then my forehead. What color eyeliner should I do? I think dark brown. I'm gonna go with dark brown eyeliner. You might notice that I am not naming brands. That's because I have a lot of stuff from various brands that I actually no longer support for various reasons. Like this eyeliner is from a brand I no longer support for various reasons. So I've decided, I'm just gonna name colors and stuff. And formula is subjective anyway. Everyone's gonna have a different formula of product that works for them, and it's really just trial and error that you're gonna find what works for you. So yeah. There we go. Nice bit of dark brown waterline eyeliner, dark brown mascara. It's just like, it's slightly, very subtly, slightly softer than a straight up black mascara or black eyeliner, which fits with the whole, somewhat soft vibe of this eye look. It's very spring. I didn't go into it intending for it to be very spring, but it is very spring, I'm realizing. Cool. Okay. That's the eye stuff done. Usually doesn't take me 26 minutes to do my eye stuff, but I was talking a lot throughout that, so I can actually do my makeup very fast when I'm not filming. Oh yeah, I have to try. Okay. So I'm not going to use a beauty blender or brush today. I saw someone doing a thing that I want to try out. This is one of those sort of sponge pad things that you would use for a setting powder or a pressed powder of some kind, like pressed finishing powder, pressed setting powder. And so I'm going to use this with my foundation because I saw some people doing that and I liked the way that the texture looked. So I'm going to put on the foundation first, and then I'm going to layer the white on top of it, which is not generally what I do. Obviously, generally what I do is I take my foundation right up under the eyes and I leave it like that. But I want to try the brightening thing. And the only way I'm going to be able to do that is with that white eye base or possibly the white foundation. Let's see what we think of this, shall we? I have a little pack of 5 of these, and I also wash them, so. Is the texture what it looked like on that person's camera? If you see more texture on my face than you usually do, by the way, that's because I usually use my front-facing camera to film the commentary videos, or, if you watch like my gaming videos or whatever, or just little rant videos. But right now, whenever I do like makeup focused ones, I film with the actual like back camera on the back of my phone. So it's gonna be higher resolution. There's so many things that cause artificial smoothing with technology that like usually isn't even intended. Like I don't put filters or anything on. I just usually use my front-facing camera to take a picture because I can see it better, and the lower camera quality smooths it out. This light right now is smoothing out my face in a way that it is not smooth in real life. I am actually having severe breakouts right now. And when I say severe, I mean bright red, angry, and all over right in this area specifically, and usually painful. Today is the first day in like a week where it hasn't hurt me to touch them, so I decided to do a little bit of makeup. I do like the texture that this is giving the foundation. I feel like it's, obviously it's, you know, introducing less literal watering down than a beauty blender would. It's not leaving streaks the way that a brush would. Seems a bit fuller coverage than usual. It's not absorbing nothing, it is absorbing a bit, but, you know, the only way you're not going to have any absorption is with like one of those silicone applicator things, and I don't like those because of the texture. Both the texture it leaves on the skin and the actual texture of it touching my face. So, as you can see, I put a little bit more foundation right into there just because I didn't really tap it under there before. This is the tricky part, the under eye. Bam, 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 bam. Oh, I forgot to do my inner corner highlight. That's okay. I'll do it when I do the bottom eyeshadow as well. Feels pretty fitting, honestly. Right, there we go. So that's with just the foundation. Didn't use any color corrector this time. I usually use a little bit of color corrector under the eyes. Well, color corrector. I mix an orange lipstick with a concealer that I'm not otherwise using because it's a little fuller coverage than I want generally. And I just like lightly dab that combo under my eyes. So that's with that. And then I'm gonna take some of that white eye base because it's concealer-like in its texture. It's not as thick. It's like a little thinner. It's concealer-like in texture. And I'm just gonna put a little bit on the back of my hand. Rub off any sparkles that are on my hand. I'm gonna take my ring finger, dab it in, and I'm gonna just dab a little bit. I'm just gonna blend this one out with my ring finger, I think. And let's see what this whole, let's see if this lightens my face in a way that looks natural, or if I'm too pale for the palest shade of stuff, but also not pale enough for white to be my natural looking brightening shade. Well, it certainly looks white. I picked the thinner one because I figured this is relatively thin. It'll probably blend in with the intriguing color of the foundation a little better. I don't know what tornado movie they're watching out there, by the way. I don't know the title of it. It's got the guy who played General Zod in Man of Steel in it. I forget his name. I feel like I brought it down a little lower on this side, so I'm just going to take a little more off the back of my hand. And Fallout 4 is my least favorite Fallout game that I've played, but it does have my favorite radio. I have been jamming to the Diamond City Radio playlists on Spotify non-stop. I can now fully sing along to Pistol Packin' Mama and Atom Bomb Baby and The Wanderer, and of course, maybe, and I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire. Obviously. Well, I'm not sure what the brightening effect does for my face exactly, but it's certainly bright. Not sure what it's supposed to be doing for me. Should I put it on? People would put it on their nose too. I don't really want to though. I don't understand. Okay, whatever. So that is that part of the base. Now I will admit, I didn't think through what blush I'd be using today. So I don't know if I'm using a liquid or not. I'm just gonna use a liquid since we're already here. This is, let's see, yeah. It's like a sort of pinkish, but it's a little, for my skin tone in particular, it's going to be sort of a natural pink tone rather than, you know, like a bright pink. So, I don't know. I think a slightly naturaler, that's not a word, slightly more natural pink tone, even though I have this exaggerated pink on the eyes because I kind of want the eyes to be the main thing of this look. Let's see how this does in blending out this blush. I like to put my blush quite high on my cheekbones, and all the way up to like under my eye, and then bring it up my temple a bit, like to just above the tail of my eyebrow. I don't generally put it on like the apple of my cheek, but I will take it very close to the apple of my cheek, and I will also take it to about like that, like I will put it over the whole cheekbone area generally. I'm gonna add a tiny dot more of that. I don't own a lot of liquid blushes. This one was cheap, so I decided to try it. And I'm quite enjoying it, so I might buy other liquid blushes in other colors from other brands as well, because I like this liquid blush. It looks great when I have no base makeup on, and generally that's how I look when I go outside with makeup. I generally don't bother with foundation when I go outside with makeup. That's usually just for in here, which seems, you know, contradictory, but I don't love how foundation looks on me generally. I'm a little more open to it with this one. This foundation I do quite like. So I'm a lot more willing to wear it out in public, even with my quite strong aversion to wearing foundation in public. I actually do like it with this particular one. Okay. This has been sitting over here for a second, so let's see how that's gonna work. Oh, thank goodness. I thought she wouldn't want to move. Definitely gonna have to wash this puff again after this. I'm gonna be using a different puff for my setting powder. And I'll probably have to apply a little bit of powder blush on top of this liquid blush. That might have been too much. I might have just made a terrible mistake. Probably going to have to apply a little bit of a powder blush on top of this liquid blush to make the color return. Like, the liquid blush will still be visible, it'll just be a little dulled. Oh, it's definitely stronger over here now than it was over there. Crap. Oh. Okay. Let's just try to even it out. Take the excess over here. Does that look even now? It's still a little stronger on this side, but it's stronger than I wanted it to be for the overall look, so I don't want to add more to the other side. I want to try to tone down this side. Okay. I think that did it. Thank goodness for products that absorb products. Not something you'll often hear said, but I'm gonna add a tiny little dot to the nose as well. Just boop. I just like adding it to the tip of my nose. I don't know why exactly. It's just fun for me. Should I do bronzer? This is already quite a long video. I don't know if bronzer is the best idea for it. I want a little bit more than that. Just a tiny bit more. I'll maybe do powder bronzer at the end. I don't have the patience for cream bronzer right now. It makes me look a little like I'm sick or suffering allergies, but I usually am suffering allergies, so it's just true to life. I like it. I think it's cute. Little Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer-esque, but in a fun way. Yeah, I'm doing powder highlighter, and if I do bronzer, it's going to be a powder bronzer. I think I'm just going to go in with setting powder now, and then I'll do brow mascara, and then bronzer and highlighter, and then lips, and then that should all be done. So I have this little puff. I'm just going to rub it in my powder here. You can see that there's powder on it now. And I'm just going to lightly tap it all over my face in order to set everything. A little bit goes quite a long way, and I don't like looking super dry, especially because I have a lot of, I don't shave the peach fuzz off, I have acne, all that. So that can make the foundation have a funny texture at times, especially if you use a lot of powder. So I try to go quite, not minimal, but conscientious with the powder. I know it looks like I'm dipping in a lot, but that's just when I can see that there's like no longer powder coming out of this. I don't think I will need to put a powder blush over this after all. Hurrah! This is technically a translucent powder, but it has a little bit of a shade to it, so occasionally it'll, dull down a bit, which can be nice if I go overboard with my bronzer or my blush or whatever. Sometimes I can just slap a little bit of this powder over it, and it'll fix it right up for me, and that's nice. Again, I know it looks like a lot, but it's because I'm not getting a ton of powder when I initially grab it. I'm just going back in a few times because I'd rather have too little powder and have to keep going back in than too much powder. And then my face is very dry because I have combination skin. It's real dry around like these areas, and then in here, oily. Okay, there we go. Oh, that's right. And then a little bit specifically for right there under the eye. Very nice. Very nice. Both of those need to get washed. Okay, so that's all of that. Time for brow mascara. What do I want to go with right now? This one's slightly darker and has less of a shine to it. This one has a little bit more like reflective shine. Both of them are thickening with fibers in them to make the brows look thicker. I'm gonna go with this one. It has a little bit more shine to it, so my eyebrows reflect more, which I think lines up better with the vibe of the eyeshadow. Because in my opinion, it makes it look a little softer than the more matte appearance of the other one does. I'm gonna grab a smaller one this time. Very gentle, very light. Please don't get brow mascara on my foundation. The reason that I don't do this step before a lot of people do their brows first. The reason that I don't is because all I do to my eyebrows is the mascara. I don't do like a pen or anything, right? So what I'm doing is less giving structure to my brows or whatever, and more the foundation and the powder can kind of wash my eyebrows out, and so I'm trying to bring a little bit of color back into them. And then the thickening part is just an added bonus because I like my eyebrows thick. And as you can see, I'm just kind of running through it and then putting them right back into their normal shape. I'm not trying to shape my eyebrows or anything. Eyebrows are quite important to a lot of makeup looks because they really change the structure of the face. Like, contouring is one thing, but it's genuinely baffling how much eyebrow shape can just entirely change the look of your whole face. But I don't like doing anything to my eyebrows. I don't like messing with them in any way. I don't pluck them. I don't shave them. I don't really do anything to them because my mom has told me about, like, she really regretted plucking her eyebrows in the 80s and stuff, and the 90s, or not the 80s, yeah, in the 90s. She really regretted pluck whenever it was she was a teenager. I can't remember right now. Because I think she said 80s, but I'm thinking about her age, and I don't know if that lines up with when she would have been plucking her eyebrows. I don't know. Anyway, she really regretted how much she plucked her eyebrows because they had trouble growing back. So, I'm not going to do that to my eyebrows because I like my eyebrows. I don't want to give them any kind of grief. The hardest part for me is just making sure that the tail gets back into position. I don't want the tail, like, super spread out. Okay. We brought some color back into the eyebrows. Now it's time for highlighter, and, you know, we've got the gold and the pink, so I'm just going to go with this. It's just a little pale gold highlighter here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do the bronzer first, actually, because I think I want to spray my face with some setting spray before I do the highlighter to make it pop a bit more, and that'll make it a little more difficult for the bronzer. So I'm just going to go in with... It's a huge bronzer. I bought it years ago. I barely use it because for a long time I was terrified of bronzer, but I think I've figured it out in a way that I am no longer absolutely petrified of it. I'm going to use a smaller brush for it. A lot of people use very big fluffy brushes, but I like to concentrate my bronzer a little bit more. Not like concentrate the color, but concentrate where it goes. That artificial coconut smell has not faded at all over the years that I've owned this. Tapping off my brush to make sure it's not too much, and then bronzer is generally going to go... So bronzer is not contour. Contour is what provides, like, sculpt and stuff generally, and it mimics shadows, so it tends to be focused more like in this area to kind of carve out cheekbones, and then some people focus it here as well. Bronzer is going to go more in this sort of area. So whereas the contour is going to go in the hollow of the cheek up sort of by the ear and the hairline, bronzer is going to go more overlapping a little bit with the blush, right? And down into the hollow a little bit. It's just going to have a bit of a wider spread as well than you're going to generally want to put your contour. I'm concentrating it more on, like, the bottom of the cheekbone and the start of the hollow, about where, yeah, concentrating it about where, like, my back molars start, and then up to the hairline. And that's where I like to put it for the cheeks. Just a little bit of warmth there. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, and then I'm going to put a little bit up into my hairline, And I'll probably do a little bit on my nose as well. Some people like to put it underneath the lip because it can provide a sort of fullness to the lips as well, but I don't think I don't need that. Having full lips is nice until you have chronically dry full lips, and then it just means a lot of peeling. A lot of peeling. It's so hard to see out of this eye. I'm gonna mainly look into the camera for while I'm doing this blending. I really like to blend my bronzer, as you can tell, because I am pale. Bronzer scares me because of how pale I am. And I'm using a foundation with a neutral undertone, which I think works quite well, but I do have a little bit of a cooler undertone, I think. It's just most cool undertone foundations tend to go way too pink on me. So I lean more neutral when I do foundations. And because of having a bit of a cooler tone as well, it can mean a lot of bronzers will come out looking very orange or yellow. So bronzers scare me a little, but I'm playing around with them more because I do want to appreciate them, you know? This is my version of drawing and visual art, because I can't draw. That doesn't compute with me, but makeup computes with me. So this is my version of that. So bronzer for me is what drawing hands are for artists. It's very scary, and sometimes I just avoid doing it, but sometimes I suck it up and I'm like, I gotta practice. I'm filming something! I'm filming something! Enter and ask me your thing.
You're watching Pacific Rim Uprising, the evil Charlie Day.
You guys are gonna watch that?
They're already started it.
Okay, I'm almost done with this. I just have to do like lips and stuff, and then I'll be out to watch Charlie Day be evil and weird. So Charlie isn't just my favorite character on Always Sunny, he's also my favorite actor on Always Sunny, as you may have gleaned from that little interaction there. I'm gonna take this. This is like a multi-purpose brush from a kit. I don't support this brand anymore either. There was a whole thing. Spectrum came out with a Lilo and Stitch collection, and they were teasing it for a while, but the day it actually released was the day immediately following the Lahaina fires. And they kind of just ignored that was a thing, you know? They didn't even make any statements of support or anything while releasing their Lilo and Stitch collection. You know, the collection based on the movie where Lani, the older sister, sings Lilo Aloha Oi, which is a song literally written by the last queen of Hawaii for the fact that she was being forced to turn over her kingdom under threat of harm. There's a tone deafness to that I didn't appreciate, so I don't buy from this this brush company anymore. But it's a multi-purpose sort of brush. It's rather small, and I think I use this as a highlighting brush. It fits for doing like highlighter on the cheekbones quite well, but I think today it's going to serve me well for putting just a little bit of bronzer on the sides of my nose. This is a part of bronzer that I still feel very iffy about with my abilities. I feel like I've gotten a good grasp on my cheek bronzer and my forehead bronzer, but nose bronzer still scares me. And this is not exactly nose contouring, because again, contours to create shadow, and so the purpose of that would be like to make my nose look thinner, slimmer. My nose, if I thin it anymore, I will start to look like a bird. Or like my most recent Oblivion character I made, where I just made the face as thin as I possibly could. God, I love Oblivion. Oblivion's character creator is absolutely fantastic. I know that technically Bethesda has improved character creators in that you can make more human-looking characters easier, but I don't want them to look human. I want to make a little beast. I want to make something odd and unnerving. I want a monster factory that every single time. Give me the option to monster factory stuff again, Bethesda. Okay, that's the bronzing step done, and now I'm going to spray my face with this setting spray, and then I'm going to apply the highlighter, because it's just going to, the wetness is going to make the shimmer of the highlighter pop more, and I feel like doing that right now. And then I think I'm just going to go with a nice, cute pink lip for this, I think, to go with the sort of spring vibe I've got going on. You know, I might just do like a nice little pink, something basic. Okay. Ugh. Don't mind the smell, babies. I actually quite like the smell, but don't mind the smell. There's a little man in here now as well. I'm just going to take the same brush I used for the bronzer, and I'm just going to wipe all of the excess bronzer out of it. There's not a lot. We didn't get a lot in there. It's okay that it's slightly drying down the setting spray. I don't want it to be too wet, because then when I re-dip, I risk getting the wetness in the powder, and that's what makes it so that when your powder's products expire, they actually expire. Alright, just gonna swirl that around a few times. It's somewhat dry, but somewhat tacky still. So now I'm going to, for me, highlighter is specific to where light hits your face. You want to put highlighter on the points of your face where light is going to hit the most. So I like to take it right up under my eyeball, all around on the cheekbones, a little further under my eye and further in than my blush. And I like to put it up here on my temples as well. Just because, I don't know, I like the look of bringing like blush and highlighter all the way up to the tail end of the brow. I just like how that looks. There we go. Repeat other side. My biggest advice to you for makeup stuff is don't pay attention to makeup trends or like trending ways to do makeup, because those trends change constantly, just like with fashion. Just find what you like to do for your face shape and your skin tone and all that. Just find what you have a personal preference for in makeup. Do that. Eventually it'll come back around. Tired girl makeup was a thing, and it's like, well, suddenly my dark circles and eye bags are in trend. There was the whole bushy eyebrows thing. I was obviously rocking that, and then stuff changed, but I still liked the way that my bushy eyebrows look, and I still don't, you know, care about my dark circles or anything. And it's like, you know, trends change constantly. Your face is forever. Okay. I'm gonna take the leftover highlighter on this, and I'm gonna just pop it on my nose. I like to do the tip of my nose and on my Cupid's bow. Is there a reason for me to be putting it on my Cupid's bow? Honestly, not really in my opinion, but I like it anyway. I could put a little bit of highlighter down the bridge of my nose as well. It's just the leftover. I guess there was none left over on there, so never mind on that point. I want to do that though. Just a little bit. Just a little bit of my life for you. What band is that? I don't actually recognize the song I just started. Well, I recognize it, but I don't know who it's by. There we go. It's the whole like exclamation point nose thing. which is somewhat controversial, but I like it. Okay, that's all that. I'm gonna put on the lip, and then I'm just going to put in that inner corner highlight, and then maybe something under the eyes, but I don't know yet. So I think for my lip, I'm just gonna go with... I wasn't sure if I wanted to do a lip gloss or just a lipstick. I think I'm just gonna go with a lipstick. Let's see if this color works with our eyes there. Okay. The reason I lined that so carefully and then pressed it together and lined it slightly different is because my bottom lip goes a little bit outside of the limits of my top lip. So when I fully fill out my bottom lip, it fills it out differently up here, so that I can just line that same part so it doesn't look like smudged lipstick, it looks like it's on purpose. All my lipsticks have this leaning damage deal going on. All the ones that are like, these are called bullet lipsticks, where it's in the traditional little twist and push up container. All of them look like it because I live in a tropical climate, so it's always warm, so they're always a little bit melted. Now, as you can see, because I have a very prominent Cupid's bow, I am taking the sort of pointed shape of the lipstick and I'm just gently tapping it to get the color in place for my Cupid's bow. This is another example of like personal preference over trend. There's, I don't know if it's still a thing, but like there was a whole thing of like covering up your Cupid's bow so that it just looks smooth. And on some people it looked like really great, but I don't like it on me. I like my Cupid's bow to be quite prominent. So even though it's not on trend, I think that's what looks nice on me and that's what I prefer. So that's what I mean when I say don't pay attention to trend stuff. I don't like how it looks when I cover up my Cupid's bow. On the shape of my lips, makes it look weird. Alright, that's that. I'm gonna pop on that little... I have so many makeup brushes that I have to clean now. Turned into a horse over it. Okay. Just gonna take this little pencil brush. Pencil brush is basically just a small, dense brush that can go into point or detail areas quite easily. I'm gonna take that shimmer that looks white but is gonna come off quite pink on the skin. I'm just gonna put that right in there. And the general purpose of inner corner highlights and eyeshadow is to brighten and open the eye. A lot of eyeshadow general intent is brightening, widening, and opening appearance for the eye. Obviously, like a sultry, smoky look isn't gonna have that intent. And like if I wanted my eyes to look wider and more open and awake right now, I could replace this dark brown liner with a more like closer to my flesh tone or white eyeliner in my waterline. But you can mix and match techniques. I'm using the inner corner highlighter to make them look just a little bit brighter and a little bit more awake. But I'm also doing a dark liner in my waterline because I like how that looks. You can mix and match techniques. Like a Pokemon team where you make sure you have a bunch of different types so that you're prepared for any gym you might come up against. I've never played a Pokemon game, so I don't know if that's actually the stratagem you want to utilize, but I assume that's what Ash Ketchum did. So that's what I assume. I just wiped the shimmer off of that, and I'm just going to take the darker teal that I started with, and I'm going to run that along underneath my eye, just right under my eyelashes. I'm just going to slightly connect it up. Just touch it very lightly with the eyeshadow on the top, and I'm just going to run it along the length of my under eye. I like to do that because it provides a sort of, it's like blank space on a canvas, right? Sometimes the blank space on the canvas looks good. Sometimes you're like, I just need something there, just a little bit of color. So in this particular instance, I just need a little bit under the eye. See how that changes it? See that? You can't even probably perceive like how or why that makes such a difference, but it really does. And same deal over here. This video is super long, probably not a lot of peeps are gonna end up at this point, especially because it's scattered, semi-incoherent ramblings for the most part, but if you made it all the way to this end point, congratulations, you get to see what the final look looks like. And now you know also a bunch of my tips and my thoughts on random things. It's just a little bit of something right there. What in the world? Alright, well, that's not coming off. Taking a little powder puff real quick. I'm just gonna... Now that helped. Okay. God, I need to re-dye my hair and get a haircut. There we go. That's our little finished look. Matching it up with the Let's Get Rowdy cowboy skeletons there. Let me just push this. No, there's no way that I'm gonna be able to get like both of them in frame in full. But there we go. For the experiments that we did with like the brightening and stuff, I'm not sure how much the brightening adds to the look. I think I could take it or leave it, to be honest. For that little experiment that we did, but I really like using this for my foundation, and I'm definitely gonna do that again, at the very least. So that was quite fun. It was nice to get back into doing long form makeup stuff, and I hope that you all enjoyed. Bye!